Woke liberals just know how to pull racism out of thin air. It's not there, but they find a way to find it. Ben Shapiro completely dismantles this woke liberals ideology on Alabama, saying that it's just racist. Why? I don't know. I'm just going to claim it anyway, but it's very interesting to go into. But before we do, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to Resist the Mainstream to ensure to YouTube that you're enjoying our videos, and then that way they will continually show up in your feed and it'll push it up to more people. I'm Titus. Let's get into this video.
This would qualify as a racist institution, the state of Alabama. I have an answer to a question that you commonly pose whenever the topic of institutional racism is brought up.
Sure.
You'll always ask, where is the institution? Show me the racist laws so that we can fight them together.
Correct.
Welcome to Alabama. This would qualify as a racist institution, the state of Alabama.
Did you hear what this guy just said? I always get asked about, tell me the proof, what institution, what yada, 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 evidence, then goes, welcome to Alabama. Waiting.
So now I go back to the question that you say that you answered, which is, show me the law. You've named an institution you don't like, now show me the law.
No, it's not an institution I don't like. I've lived here my whole life. But
I mean, you called it racist, so I assume you're not super fond of it.
Yeah, it has flaws, to say the least. But the Constitution of Alabama demands that schools be segregated by race. If it weren't for the federal government, there would only be white people in this room. We have tried to repeal this language, to get it out of the Constitution, at least once a decade, and it has failed. Every time we have voted to keep segregation as law in the state of Alabama. So I'd say that qualifies the state as
Yes, so I will admit to you. Okay, so a couple of fundamental assumptions. Okay, I'm going to admit I have not read the Constitution of the state of Alabama, so I don't know the provision that you are talking about. I will assume that it says what you say it says for the purposes of this conversation. If in fact there's a provision in the state law of Alabama that says that segregation is mandated by law, of course that's racist. That's Jim Crow, and that would be institutional racism. The point that I'm making is that there are a lot of black people in this room today because the institutional racism that you are decrying was in fact wiped out at the legal level by the federal government in the 1960s. So if you're citing a law from 1873 or 1865, whenever the Constitution embedded segregation, if you're citing that law to prove institutional racism and that law has not been applied for 50 years, you're going to need to do better.
There were several lawmakers in the last few years caught on tape talking about the need to suppress the black vote, referring to black people as aborigines and illiterates.
Right. I've always said there are racist people. And by the way, when there are people who act in maliciously racist fashion, in my opinion, I have donated money to their primary opponents. Right. I did that like a month ago for Steve King.
I don't think liberals understand that we're aware that racism exists and that there are people that are racist. And when that is the case, we should nip it in the bud, completely denounce it, call the people out, and make sure that that's something that's not accepted or pushed or propagated in our society, in our laws, in our politicians. But that doesn't mean everything's racist. It doesn't mean the institution is racist. And if there's a law that is in place that has not been applied in 50 years, and it's like, I agree we should like remove it, but like clearly it's not, institution isn't racist if they're not applying a racist law. Just saying.
These are lawmakers, though. These are people who are actually making laws in this state.
So I don't understand where we disagree. In other words, if you show me the comment and I say I oppose the comment and therefore I oppose the lawmaker, and then they pass a law and I agree that the law is racist and I oppose the law, we don't disagree. So the point that I'm making is, are there people who are racist in the United States? Sure. Are there people who are racist in the government? I'm sure, because the government is representative of the United States. But when people talk about institutional racism, they tend to do so by suggesting, and this is my main argument about institutional racism, to put this in kind of rounded context. The main argument that I'm making about institutional racism is not that racism doesn't exist, it's that to attribute every disparity to discrimination, which is what seems to be the intersectional argument. That if one group of people has less property than another group of people, or one group of people has less wealth, or one group of people is less economically successful or one group of people is less educated, that is the result of current present day institutional racism, that is not useful, and in fact it's counterproductive. Because what it is doing is it is suggesting a fault that does not occur in the present. Now, I've also said in every speech that I've made for multiple years at this point that to deny historic racism would of course be idiocy. Of course historic racism exists, of course that has present day consequences. But that does not answer the question as to which policy currently in place is causing the disparity. So if you can point to the policy that is intended and designed to create disparity between groups, and then you can say that that is what causes the disparity between groups, then we can agree on abolishing the law. I want to get rid of those obstructions the same way that you do. My goal is that the law equally applies to everyone, meaning that everybody has the same rights. We're not all born with the same opportunity because no one is. Some of us are born rich, some of us are born poor, some of us are born short like me, some people are born tall. Right? I mean, people are just born differently. Some people are born smarter and some people are born stupid. This is why Democrats exist. But the fact...
Yo, but did he lie? I'm playing.
But it's just a joke. There are lots of smart Democrats. I just don't know why they do what they do. But with that said, I think what people make the mistake of doing is suggesting that because people end up in an unequal position every day, that is the result of current day people standing in their way and obstructing legal anti-discrimination. I don't think that's correct.
That man, Ben Shapiro, man, that's so well put together too. It's like economic privilege is a thing. We cannot attribute everything to race. There's culture, there's historical racism. Of course, some people start off ahead compared to other people, and it could be a racial thing. It could just be, even with that though, like I was talking about this the other day with a friend. It's like there's people that are Black people that have generated or created generational wealth for their family. Obviously, it's probably more on the white side, but also there's more white people, statistically like 13% of the population. So it makes sense that when there's more of one race, that they would probably likely have more, the likelihood of them being more successful just based off the number that they are would be higher. But obviously there's historical racism. Obviously there was slavery, that stuff was there. But I don't think that plays as big of a part as people try and say in terms of why Black people might be at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to financial literacy or educational literacy, all that stuff. I think it's just a cultural issue that needs to be shifted and changed. And I don't think reparations or blaming everything on racism is going to fix that. We need to actually look at ourselves, take self-accountability, create programs that help the inner city or just all of us as a whole. Like, do those things. Like, let's just copy what the Jewish people do and what the Asians do. They all like really, I'm generalizing them, but like I've known people that just their culture and the way that they work with each other and the way that they hold themselves to a higher standard in terms of education and making sure that they get things done is just not something that's done in the Black community. It's not. And it's something that needs to change. It's shift. And I think you did a really good job of saying, man, if there's racism, I oppose it. I think racism is terrible. I think that we should completely denounce racism and stop it from happening. And shouldn't support it. But you don't get to just claim that an institution is racist with no evidence to back it up. And that was the whole point of this whole thing. So Ben Shapiro, cooking as usual and very respectful as usual, although people will not say that's the case, he is. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment down your thoughts below. I want to know what you guys are thinking on this, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.